the weapons. Collective Edge. Welcome back to the Weapons Collective Edge. Today will be part 3 of the Langmuir systems, and we'll finish everything up and get everything going. Hopefully we'll get a part cut and we'll see how it all works. But we'll see you then in a couple of minutes. We'll get that all going. So we're going to attach the electrical computer part of the Langmuir. Take out all the screws and take off the top here. Inside here, and right inside here there's a switch to switch from 110 to 220. My system's going to be 220, so you have to switch that over to 220. What we do is we get inside here. We've got 3 holes that we're going to mount it over to the side of the arm here. I'll switch over to that view. So we're going to go in it and we're going to attach it to here. Behind it goes this piece here, and a piece of plastic, and then 3 plastic washers that go on the inside, and then 3 sheet metal screws to attach it. And the reason for that is it insulates the electricity that could travel through this beam into the mechanics of electronics. So we'll do that here in just a second. I'm going to wrench that one on, wrench this one on. So you get those insulators on there. Don't want to over tighten this because it's all plastic. Then you put the middle one in. The middle one's a little trickier because there's stuff in the way. So we'll get in there best we can with the screwdriver. Wires so they don't get trapped underneath the wires or underneath the screw head. Once it gets started, it's not too bad. They're like self-tapping, sort of. There it is, attached. And then now I just got to put the cover back on, and 14 screws. So a lot of screws, but better to keep it nice and secure than to leave out any screws. That'll be it, and then we're going to attach the cables. Now earlier I said to switch this to 220. The 220 was actually for the power for this system, and my plasma cutter is going to be 220, but this is actually running on 110, so that's what that switch was. So actually I needed 110. When I powered it up, luckily it didn't fry anything, but it didn't work, and when I switched to 110 everything worked fine. So that's what that's asking for. Maybe some systems can actually run, some of regular wall plugs would be 220 in another country, so in this case it wasn't me. So just wanted to verify that, tell you. So we attached the cables. We got X-axis here, which is this travel across this way, and we've got our Y-axis here that goes to the back motor, which is this axis here. So that's how those go. We've got our USB cable to go to the computer, and we got our power supply to go up to the plug. Okay, now we're going to jog the machine. I got it all connected. Jog it with our arrow keys. Move it out to the far right hand corner. Air out basically. Same thing back here. And then you zero that corner. So now that'll be your 0. Show here. Got our 0 here. We put the 0 keys. Jog was continuous at 50 inches per minute with arrow keys or mouse. And as we can see here, it has gone all the way to this back corner. And that would be our range with both motors. So now that we've jogged it to 0 as we did over here in the corner, we have to tighten these screws all up right in this area, and that will get us all set. The machine will be all assembled, everything's connected correctly, and that will be the final step on this. and then we'll move on. So we got our program loaded. This is our program here. Just got a slot and a hole, and we're going to get that fired up. So put this in here, set that in front of the machine, and we'll fire it up for you. There we go. That was our first cut. Wait for the air to shut off. Pull this part out. And there's our part right there. Pop these out of here. And there's the two holes. So that's our first part cut. So that concludes part 3. We finished it. Got it all set up. Got some cuts made, and we'll hope to make some good parts on this. So right now that was just some simple thin steel. It probably can go up to 1/2 inch. More than likely 1/4 would be better. But after that, we'll try some other projects. One final thing I wanted to add is when you get in here, there's a spot called the torch on off. The original plan said you had to get into your torch cable and find the 2 lines that made your switch turn on and off by hand, the trigger. So you spliced into those, and then that automatic torch on and off right there would go and make the machine turn it on and off when the computer told it to do that. Well, mine didn't work. I opened the whole case up, got in there, wiggled the wires, made sure they were making connection, turned it on, got it to work, put the cover back on, it didn't work. So I'm fighting with that at the first, and then on the front of my machine, which I'll show you right now, there are 2 spots, 2 ports, and that is not on all machines. This is on the, let me show you the other part here. This is on the Razor Weld Cut 45 CNC, compatible with Crossfire by Jasic. These 2 ports, I believe, were added recently. So in saying that, when I get the manual actually says that it was the, let's see what I got it in, the right port. Let me open the page for you. So if we look at this together, 13 and 14. 13 says it's the CNC 50-to-1 voltage divider, and 14 says it's the torch on off. Well, if you look at what I've got here, I'm in the left one. So I tried it several times in the right, it just never worked. It would dry run, but it wouldn't turn on the torch. I finally said, hey, let's try the other side. I plugged it in the left, everything works great. So if you get the same model I have with the 2 plugs, definitely put it in the left port if your right port doesn't work. I don't know if the manual got all of it wrong or if mine just was wired backwards. Either way, that's what worked. So when you're getting into that part, when you're trying to figure out how to get the on-off to go, the wiring part where it gets in and you splice into the lines probably would have worked, but it was intermittent. I couldn't quite get it. I probably just didn't get bit into the wire good enough. It's nice that the port's on the front. That's a much easier way to go. So anyways, that's what I wanted to add, and I'm hoping this machine makes plenty of parts for me, and I will see you again.